scared.
Because we found more interesting to give a complete autonomy to each teacher to develop something unique. Now we have students from Syracuse University.
Buonasera a tutti, mi chiamo Maria Fiammi, frequento a Syracuse University dove studio film, televisione e radio. E adesso cambio la lingua inglese, mi dispiace Vanna, ho parlato un po' di italiano solo per te. This is the first time I took a photo course, and for this project I decided to merge the two together, film and photo. And yeah, so for this project, with my experience of being abroad, I've had this deepening sense of self-perception and how other people, especially Italians, put an emphasis on appearance. I wanted to explore the idea of the inner versus the outer self, and how it can be changed, masked, and sometimes just altogether deceiving, but all the while attempting to maintain and sometimes losing a sense of the individual self. Utilizing makeup, the very item that most every woman applies, reapplies, takes off, and then reapplies again, and really shows how sometimes we can get lost in the many masks that we wipe on and off our faces. So the uneasy movement of stop motion, paired with a medium that allows music, provided the best method to convey these emotions for this project.
I found myself gravitating towards the idea of how I deal with change in a new setting. Studying abroad has put me into a constant state of flux, living with a host family, making new friends, traveling to new countries, and not always being able to rely on my limited language skills to communicate. I noticed I depended on my wardrobe, my everyday morning routine, for my sense of familiarity. Amidst the unexpected nature of studying abroad, I latched on with the little bit I did have complete control over, my appearance. In my project, I attempted to communicate this by juxtaposing photos in my room with photos I took from a train window. The first, orderly, my little familiar world I had complete control over. The second, photos from a constant state of change, and my wonderful submission to the unexpected. It's my attempt to create a harmonious balance between control and letting go, ultimately seeing where this change will lead me.
I'm Florence, and I study sculpture and photography at Syracuse University. This piece focuses on the concepts that can deal with decontextualization and fragmentation, both of which are kind of ideas that I was thinking of as I made the project. I explore the sense of de- and recontextualization that occurs when the familiarity of one's usual context is lost. When this occurs, there's a huge shift in one's understanding of what is around them, and as a result, a loss of the framework for and orientation of the self. What was once supported by a familiar structure of community, location, and culture, among other things, falls into a state of fragmentation. It is at this point that one may discover or rediscover who and how they are to be. New, fragile frameworks can then be reconstructed from different communities, cultures, and standards and surroundings. And it is in this state of recontextualization that, if one looks, they can determine what aspects of themselves are immovable and what is subject to being fragmented and changed. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Caroline Yokes, and I study visual arts at Syracuse University in Florence. What are the things that wear us down? Do we ever really recover from destruction? If so, what is the echo of that damage? In exploring my fascination with damage and the so-called calm after the storm, I've developed a collection of images and texts that speak to the balance between staggering beauty and breathtaking sorrow, found in the everyday pain each of us feels. The images I show are ones often forgotten or overlooked as ordinary. In the very nature of their ordinary pain and isolation, I try to expose their respective beauty and virtue. The texts that accompany each image are my own questions concerning how one faces pain and mantras I have used in an attempt to quell anxiety. My collection of images and texts is a meditation on the relationship between pain, damage, and recovery as a means to find beauty in the discomfort so many of us feel. In relation to the Francis Bacon exhibit, I focus on the non-self, or the echo of the self, as a representation of pain. When visiting the Strozzina, I was particularly drawn to the exhibits that touched on the idea of the existential scream, and the idea of being entirely worn down, abandoned, and rejected. yet finding a way to honor and represent that struggle through images. I combine traces of pain and suffering with texts that originate from my own damage to create a dialogue between the existential condition of futility and the contradictory beauty and hope found in its philosophy. And I believe that's it.
The work of Adrienne Guiney and the Francis Bacon exhibition at the Strozzina has been a great inspiration in my latest work. Guiney deals with emotionally packed historical topics in an everyday setting. Initially, the viewer is drawn to Guiney's work due to his painting style and sensation of familiarity within the subject matter. However, only after spending more than a few moments with his work, the viewer's perspective changes as he or she understands the depth of Guiney's topics. My work relates to Guiney's in that it discusses strong personal emotion through a seemingly familiar subject matter. I am dealing with the idea of home, which bears connotations: comfort, family, and intimacy. However, as an American student studying abroad, I have struggled to make these connections during my time living with an Italian host family. I use family names such as host mom and host dad with people I barely know. In my work, I am discussing an on-the-surface sense of comfort through light and the familiarity of subject matter. I am depicting the table at my own Italian family. However, through the utilization of a predominantly cool palette, unfamiliar texture, and lack of solidity within some objects, I strive to provoke the viewer to question my work and begin to understand a sense of emotional discomfort within my piece. The transient nature of the objects is meant to symbolize relationships which are existent yet empty.
My name is Jimin. I'm currently studying illustration and painting at Syracuse University. But since I'm not good at English, I'm going to speak in Korean today, and she's going to translate later. So, okay, I will start.
My project, Purification, is about myself and memories, which cannot be shown. Like Francis Bacon's show, talking about man's existence and showing how the inner being is reflected on the outside, this project is talking about my being, or myself, composed with memories, which must not be revealed, and how they exist inside of me. Mostly, my secret memories have to be hidden, since they cannot be shown. Pictures and notes related to them have been burned. By burning them, I have been purifying myself. At the same time, I have been recollecting these secret memories. These boxes represent my private room. In my room, which represents my mind as well, the secret memories are still there in the middle of disappearing and existing, composing me. The burned secret memories are written on paper and sealed in resin in order to express symbolically how the burned secrets are maintained in the space. They are disappearing, but also being reinterpreted while they are resolved. Although their practical shape doesn't exist anymore, they are still permeating. I decided to display them in 4 rows with color gradation in different sizes to make each of them have a different individual meaning. The color gradation from dark brown to white means the circulation of purification.